Welcome back. Anti-government protests in Iran are spreading throughout the country more than a week since they began. Human rights groups say dozens of protesters have been killed, and President Trump has threatened U.S. intervention if Tehran continues to crack down. Yesterday, I spoke with Masih Alinejad, an Iranian women's rights activist and journalist, about how the president's warning will be viewed from Iran.
President Trump made it very clear that when it comes to peace, endless wars or empty wars are not his strategy. And that is why the people of Iran took that serious. They really believe that President Trump is going to take actions. And that's why the regime in Iran were angry. So immediately, Supreme Leader of the Islamic Republic reacted to what President Trump said. He said that we're not giving up to our enemy.
For more on these protests, let's bring in CBS News foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer. You see her there in our London bureau. Liz, you've reported many times, as our viewers know, from Iran. And getting any reporting out of that country is incredibly challenging today. So what do we know about the extent of these protests and what it's about?
We're able to speak to people inside Iran. We, of course, have smartphone video of the protests that act as little windows on what's going on, but real reporting, real tough analysis is not getting out because journalists, independent journalists, foreign journalists are being kept well away. We do know that these protests have erupted across the country, mostly in the south and the west, and while they're not huge compared to the massive uprisings you may remember back in 2022 and 2023, they are continuing and they do appear to be growing. Some orderly marches, some violent. For sure, the longer they go on, the greater the threat to the regime, which does appear to be on the back foot, not sure how to react. On the one hand, it is trying to appease people with cash handouts to help with that crazy inflation. On the other hand, ordering a crackdown on so-called rioters.
And how vulnerable, Liz, is the regime? I think back to 2009, where there were massive nationwide protests. The regime did crack down and effectively stay in place. How fragile is it today?
In my view, it's weaker than it's been in more than a decade of my covering this story. It's hard to overstate the anger among ordinary Iranians. They are fed up. The economy is in a shambles, thanks to sanctions, but also to mismanagement and massive corruption. And of course, the regime was humiliated by Israel and America's attacks last June, not to mention the loss of Hezbollah. It's kind of cat's paw. You do see online calls for America to intervene, to strike, as President Trump suggested, but people are also very aware that that could lead to chaos, anarchy, massive violence. So there's a real fear, almost as if the people and the regime both know that they are standing on the edge of an abyss.
And Liz, you, of course, have spent time inside Iran. You've been in contact with people there now. What are they telling you about what's going on?
It's hard for them to get a comprehensive picture of the state of things as well. They are going out and watching for signs of unrest. If there's ordinary people, if there's a sign that the police are coming to respond to, say, a small knot of demonstrators, they make themselves scarce because they don't want to get caught up in violence. So there's a bit of cat and mouse going on. In Tehran, a friend of mine told me that he sometimes can't get water out of the taps during the day. The water crisis is so acute and it's been so mismanaged. And also there are many hours of power failures almost every day. So people are really fed up. They want things to improve. But of course, if the regime really moves to improve things, that is, make concessions to get rid of sanctions, then they really risk being driven out of power. So they are between a rock and a hard place.
Remarkable. Liz, as always, we appreciate your reporting. Thanks for joining us.